The preseason is over, and the 53-man roster is getting ready to be completed this week. Is Allan George season incoming? Let's talk about it. What it do, YouTube? It's the 513 with your boy JE on the Wincinnati podcast. Hope everybody is having a beautiful Monday. The NFL preseason is over with. We just finished the last game going up against the Rams. It was a crazy week. Had the Aaron Donald, crazy fight action happen at practice. There was a lot of chippiness going on this week. Well, last week between the Rams and the Bengals in practice, and I don't know why no one could have predicted this or thought that that would happen, but it certainly happened, and here we are today, finishing that game, third preseason game in the books. And with that in the books, the next big thing, while we wait 2 weeks for the first game, is the cut down to the 53-man roster. It's a preseason is always a great time for young players to get out there, get an opportunity to touch the field, get an opportunity to showcase what they can do, not only for the team that they're a part of, but also for other teams that may need players at a certain position or may have injuries here or there. This is what the preseason is about, man. And in this preseason, I felt like was very special for us. We got a chance to see a lot of our young guys shine. And when you look at the 53-man roster, I don't want to go through the entire 53-man roster, but I do want to kind of give you guys a little bit of a tidbit of information when you're thinking about and you're projecting who could potentially make this roster, right? What are the Bengals going to do? How many players are going to keep at certain positions? Something that you can kind of think about when you look at last season, what they did, at the end of preseason going into the year, is they basically kept youth, right? The Bengals made an emphasis on bringing in youth at really all positions last season. And I think when you look at this, shakedown to the 53-man roster, I think they're going to do very much so the same this year as well, too. So last season, the Bengals kept two quarterbacks, right? Obviously, Joe Burrow, the other being Brandon Allen. They kept 7 wide receivers: Tyler Boyd, Mike Thomas, Auden Tate, Stanley Morgan, T. Higgins, Trent Irwin, Jamar Chase. They kept 3 running backs: Joe Mixon, Samaje Perine, Chris Evans. This is the 53-man roster, by the way, too. This doesn't include practice squad, right? So this is the 53-man roster. We had 3 tight ends on the 53. They had CJ Uzama, Drew Sample, Mitchell Wilcox. Offensive linemen, we kept 10. That's going to eat up a big part of this roster this season. Offensive line, we had 10 last year. Riley Reeve, Xavier Suafilo, Quentin Spain, Trey Hopkins, Fred Johnson, Jonah Williams, Isaiah Prince, Jackson Carman, Trey Hill, Deontay Smith. Defensive line, we kept 10. Another position that's going to eat up a lot of roster spots. DJ Reader, Trey Hendrickson, Larry Ogunjobi, BJ Hill, Sam Hubbard, Josh Tupou, Khalid Kareem, Darius Hodge, Cam Sample, Tyler Shelvin. And then we had 5 linebackers: Jordan Evans, Jermaine Pratt, Marcus Bailey, Akeem Davis-Gaither, Logan Wilson. This was to start the season. This isn't including Joe Bacci coming in after we had some injuries. This is the start of the 53-man roster shape up, right? We kept 10 defensive backs last season, so that's a big thing. Ricardo Allen, who retired, Trey Waynes, who's gone. We kept Eli Apple, Von Bell, Cheeto Awuzie, Mike Hilton, Brandon Wilson, Darius Phillips, he's gone, Jesse Bates, and Jalen Davis. So Jalen Davis made the 53-man roster last season. And we kept 3 specialists: Clark Harris, Kevin Huber, Evan McPherson, right? So the Bengals went with youth last season, and I think I think that they're going to go with youth this year. I do think that there is really not that many holes in this roster, right? I don't think that you're going to see. I don't think you're going to see a situation to where the Bengals are really trying to fill plenty of gaps. They really just only need depth at the guard position. Maybe at defensive back. Interior defensive line. There really isn't many holes in this roster, man. So when you look at what they did last season, the positions they kept, and how many players they kept, if I had to guess, the numbers will likely be very similar this season. So you can expect them to look at 10 defensive linemen, 10 defensive backs, 5 linebackers, 3 specialists, 3 tight ends, 3 running backs, 7 receivers, and 2 quarterbacks. Right. And when you look at the breakdown of that, that's probably exactly what this team is going to do. You know what I'm saying? So if when you look at it, that's probably what they're going to do, man. I think that's probably what the breakdown is as far as looking at who they're going to keep, what positions they're going to prioritize as far as having the depth. And I think that's kind of what you're looking at. But there is a guy in particular, in my opinion, that I feel like, in my humble opinion, I feel like there's a guy who is an undrafted free agent out of Vanderbilt. Um, he came to Cincy, not a highly touted prospect. Maybe not the big name, in the NFL draft. Maybe not the big name in the NFL right now. But you're talking about a guy in Allan George who ran a 4.48. He's 5'11", 191-pound corner. He has length. He has range. He's a phenomenal athlete. He ran a 4.48 40 and jumped a 40.5-inch vertical. So, I mean, you're talking about a kid who is an elite athlete, right? He had 15 reps of 225 on the bench, and then he had a 4.34 20-yard shuttle, right? So you're talking about a guy, Allan George, who, when you look at him on paper, right, you look at him on paper, and he played very well. Not he played very well. When you look at him on paper, he maps out very well on paper. Maybe not from a height perspective, which 5'11" is the average height, but he's not short corner. He's about average height, but with that length that he has and with the speed that he has, he should be able to make a lot of plays. You know what I'm saying? So, um, just looking at him on paper, Allan George is a guy that should be able to play and have success at corner. Now, he did play at Vanderbilt, which they were a terrible program when he was getting out of there, right? I don't even know if they won a game. I'm not sure because I don't follow Vanderbilt that closely, but I'm not even sure if they won a game when Allen was a part of that team. And sometimes when you play for teams that don't win, right, you could be overlooked. That's in high school, that's in college, uh, that's in the NFL as well too, right? You're not looking to get recruited in the league, but sometimes players may not recognize you as one of the top players in the league if you play for a team that's not winning, right? Because your team specifically is not being highlighted and people aren't talking about it. So I think that's something that probably could have happened with Allan George. When you look at what Allan George did this preseason, to me, I think it was very special, right? I think it was very special. I think that, Allan George, to me, I think that Allan George, to me, man, he showed the ability to be able to, play corner at a high level. And then also as well, too, man, be sticky in coverage. I actually had some clips here from my guy Game On. It came from local 12 channel news. But at the end of the day, man, Allan George, to the Bengals, he played well enough to make this roster. He demonstrated a lot of skill. He demonstrated being able to be sticky in coverage. He demonstrated being able to play the man and not panic with the ball in the air. I could run these clips here from the Giants when he played the Giants, but here he is, man. He's in coverage right here. He's on the man. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't panic with the ball in the air. He's a little bit behind the receiver, right? He's a little bit behind him right here. He's a little bit behind, right? Boom. Doesn't panic. He doesn't panic here. Look at him. Lined up outside. He has the speed one-on-one. He gives him a free release. Squeezes him to the sideline. He's not panicking. He's a little bit behind the receiver, but he's in great position, right? The quarterback has to make a perfect throw right here. Allen is able to not panic in the air, not to commit the pass interference, right? Get his hand up, bat the ball up in the air, bat the ball up in the air right here, right? And look, this is a good play by Allen. This is a great play. But you know what makes this play what makes this play really special and why I think Allan George really has a chance to make this roster? You want to know why I think Allan George season is incoming to Cincinnati and why I think, hey, maybe he's not a highly touted prospect. I know we got Eli Apple who did well last year. I know we drafted Cam Taylor-Britt, but the reason why you hear these stories about guys who become great that maybe no one knew about is because they just have a different type of hunger to them, right? And the hard work that they exemplify and the detail that they, when they focus on their craft. And when you have a guy like this that comes onto a team that, there's a lot of big time players on this team that have maybe been drafted higher than him. They take notice of a guy like this, man. They take notice of an undrafted guy who, has less than a 50% chance to make an NFL roster. And they say, hey, man, we respect this guy. And damn it, does he ball out? My apologies for Carson, but he does ball out here. And I was going to say, what makes this clip special? It does make it special that he makes this break up here, right? But what's most special is what happens right here. And I want you to watch. I want you to see what happens right here when Allen makes this play. This is 1st and 10, guys. This isn't 3rd down. This isn't 4th down. This is the first quarter, 2 minutes and 12 seconds into the game. Okay, this is the scenario right here. And it's not a game time situation. It's not clutch situation. It's just Allen making a play, man, what he's supposed to do. But watch this area right here. Watch this area. Boom, makes the play. Look at that. Look at all those people running over to him saying, dude, that's what I'm talking about, man. You balling, baby. You balling. You see what I'm saying? These are veterans, guys. Akeem Davis-Gaither, Mike Hilton, Jermaine Pratt, Trey Flowers, Zach Taylor's in there, right? Zach Taylor is in there, y'all. You see what I'm saying? I'm telling you guys right now, this guy has the respect of his teammates. And I'm telling you, having respect to your teammates and being consistent, Allan George being consistent in coverage, playing well at the corner position for the Bengals, really at a position where they have CTB, they have Trey Flowers, they have Eli Apple and Cheetah Awuzie, but in reality, CTB has an injury, right? A core injury, which he's supposed to be back soon. Eli Apple has a quad that he's dealing with, but I don't think it's anything serious that would keep him out for the season. I think it's just maybe some maintenance. But Allen's a guy who I think provides great depth, man, and he's shown that he can play good in coverage, right? He did have the one play against Arizona at the start of the game where he got beat deep. But it was one play, man, and really ever since then, Allan George has really been one of those guys who have been making pass breakup after pass breakup after pass breakup. He's played very well. So right here, again, man, he makes a great play on the receiver. He gives him outside release. He's out here, lined up with the number one receiver. He gives him an outside release. He opens the gate for him. Boom. Turns his hips and run. Doesn't panic with the ball in the air. Gets his head around. Knocks the ball up in the air. His teammates come to celebrate and say, man, you balling out, brother. Keep balling, man. You're going to make this team, right? Right here. I'm not sure where Allan George is lined up. I think he's at the top right of your screen here. And he is at the top, right? Tyrod Taylor is targeting him. And again, man, Allan George doesn't panic with the ball in the air, man. He just doesn't panic. Allan doesn't panic, guys. Allan just runs to the ball and makes a play on the receiver, man. Now, the receiver should have caught that ball. No doubt about it. He should have caught that, right? But Allen's making the play again, man. And sometimes when you're a cornerback, you're gonna get beat. And when you play defense, you're gonna get beat. But the key is run to the ball, you will make plays. That's the key. Run to the ball, you will make plays. That's the key. I didn't want to repeat myself, but I felt like that was very important. Allan George at the top of your screen again. Looks like he's in cover 3 technique. Another PBU, man. Another PBU by Allan George in the red zone here. Look at the quarterback. He's throwing across his shoulder, man. Allan George, man. Allan George. Allan George. He's on the backside, folks. Allan George starts on this side of the field over here. You see him right here. Let me pause it for you guys. This is Allan, guys. This is Allan. He has outside leverage. He's probably defending the corner out right here, making sure he doesn't get beat out the corner or out route or speed out, right? Allan George right here, he's outside leverage. He's really in this position. I don't know if this is man or not. I can't really tell. It looks like a zone coverage. It's definitely zone. They're passing people off, right? But Allan George knows anytime you're in scramble drill, and the scramble drill is when the quarterback breaks the pocket, receivers start to run to open space and find, wherever the open space is, that immediately turns into man coverage on the back end, right? When you're in scramble drill, it immediately turns into man coverage. And right here, Allan George recognizes that. He finds his man. He gets really sticky in coverage, and he makes a play, right? He makes a play. Allan George, to me, again, man, an extremely talented player. I hope that he's one of the guys that make the 53-man roster. I think that's Tyler Boyd too. But he's a guy that this preseason, not just the Giants game, but he truly has shown a lot. He truly has shown the ability to play cornerback, to run with the ones, and consistently show up every day and make PBUs. Not only is he having good outings at games, he's doing it in practice. I remember listening to preseason, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Allan George is lining up with the number ones." And I'm like, "Who the hell is Allan George? Who is this guy?" Right? So I hop on Wincinnati. I look at the interview that Zim and Ace had with Allan George, and I started to learn about this kid. He's a kid from Vanderbilt that has a lot of heart. He's extremely talented, and he's got that hunger, right? Much like they talk about Zach Wilson for maybe other different reasons about having that dog in him. But my man Allan George has that dog in him, man. And if I were Zach Taylor, if I were Duke Tobin looking at this 53-man roster, I'd say to myself, we might have a damn steal out here at corner. Right now, they haven't had him lined up in the slot, and I know Jalen Davis has lined up in the slot a lot and did some blitzing, but I think the Bengals have more corner at depth in the slot corner than they do at outside corner, and that's why I think Allan George is extremely valuable. That's why I think Allan George has a very good chance to make this 53-man roster. That's why I think Allan George could be on this team and might have an opportunity to actually play in the regular season. So, look, I'm extremely hyped for Allan George. I said Allen Robinson. Oh my gosh. I'm extremely hyped for Allan George. And I think he's a talented player. I think if there's anybody that deserves a shot on the 53-man roster, I think Allen's one of those guys. I think he can truly be one hell of a depth piece. And if called upon, if given the opportunity in a game, right, I think Allan George can truly deliver, right? We know that there have been players that, were undrafted free agents that turned out to be superstars, undrafted NFL superstars. It doesn't happen all the time, right? It doesn't happen all the time. But what I can tell you is that it happens, right? It happens, folks. And Allan George is a guy that, if I were a team and I were worked in the front office, I'd be really hard pressed to let him walk. and go to another team, which I know they're going to take a chance on Allan George. And I know he's probably going to have an opportunity to play for someone if they have depth issues, right? When you look at undrafted players that were superstars in this NFL league, you talk about the Wes Welkers of the world. You talk about the Chris Harris. Chris Harris was an undrafted free agent, folks. One of the best corners at one point when he played for the Broncos. I mean, you talk about Jason Peters. You talk about Adam Vinatieri as a kicker. He doesn't really count, but he does count in a sense. But I mean, there's just so many players that have been undrafted that have turned into superstars. And is Allan George 100% a bona fide superstar in the NFL or guaranteed to be a superstar? Who knows? I don't know if that's the case, right? But what I do know is that he's shown flashes in this preseason. He's had a ton of breakups. He's sticky in coverage. He has the speed. He has the athleticism. And he's played very well in Lou Anarumo's system. And with CTP having a core injury that he's working to get back from, and he's had a shaky camp from what I hear, right? And with Eli Apple dealing with the quad, Allan George season should be incoming. It should be incoming. We should be hearing about Allan George making the 53-man roster. And if so, I hope to be buying an Allan George jersey on Tuesday. So, Houday Nation, I always appreciate you rocking with me. I hope you had a phenomenal weekend. Shout out to my man Game On for the footage on Allan George. And, man, Houday always have a beautiful Monday, and we'll catch you next week.